All right, one of the requests we got today was to do a website audit for Elba. They are a machine shop or a tooling shop, and they are pretty well set up. Overall, the website has a pretty decent visual look. I'm just going to share my screen here, and we'll kind of go through this. All right, so from the first look here, it looks credible. This looks like a credible company to me. I kind of like the video in the background. Looks like they have a nice clean shop. They have some design capabilities. I really like how they were able to present exactly what they're good at right off the bat here. This is one of the key, credibility building or user experience techniques that I recommend whenever we design a website, is that right off the bat. And typically I like to push these above the fold. So these ones are just a little bit below the fold, which means that I have to scroll down a little bit to get to that. But they are right near the top, so that's good. I can see exactly who they are and what they build. As we get down to the page, they're kind of demonstrating their expertise through, looks like, some of their equipment here, some of their offerings. Down here, I can see that they're AS9100 certified, ISO 9001 certified, ITAR registered. All of those are great for credibility building. If this was my website, if this was my customer, I would push these to the top. We can find some kind of subtle way to expose people to these certifications when they visit the website in a much quicker fashion. So the topic of, having a great website is only part of that is, the visuals and the credibility and all of those things. But the real big question on my mind is, how are we getting people to this website? So the biggest way that you can use a website to drive traffic, to actually get leads, is through a technique called search engine optimization. Search engine optimization is basically just the process of getting ranked higher in search results when people that are looking for your services Google those terms. So in a case like Elba Engineering and Manufacturing, maybe a good keyword set would be an AS9100 certified tooling shop, or a ISO 9001 certified machine shop, or it could be perhaps plastic injection mold tooling manufacturer. There's a whole range of keyword sets that could potentially lead the right type of customer to this website. So they did a great job for the visual. So let's dig into the SEO side and how likely it is that they are going to rank for these terms that are going to bring them that business. So the first place I typically look is I just look at the SEO titles on these pages. And the basic idea here is that if we want to rank for a term like a mold tooling manufacturer, the Google is going to look at each page and say, okay, do they have a page that's labeled that term? Because there's no other way that Google knows to link up somebody that's searching for a term with a page other than if the page is very clearly about that topic. So up here where I'm hovering my mouse, you see that little pop-up open. That's called your SEO title. And this is one of the first places Google is going to look to identify what this page of content is about. So when I look at that SEO title, I see the keywords Elba home. So right off the bat, what that tells me is that unless somebody Googled Elba, they aren't going to find this page. So this company is missing a huge opportunity right off the bat by not having good keywords in their homepage SEO title. Let's take a look at some of the service pages here. All right, let's do plastic injection molds. Let's check this one out. Okay, so the SEO title on this page says plastic injection molds. Okay, at face value, that appears to be a good keyword set. In my experience, I would kind of call this keyword set a non-transactional keyword set. And what that means is if I was to Google the term plastic injection molds, I could have a huge range of reasons for Googling that. A large portion of the people Googling plastic injection molds are going to be doing some kind of research on that keyword, some kind of research on what plastic injection molds are used for, how they're built, what are the types of them, things of that nature. And sure, it's great to rank for that, but for a service page, I'd much rather focus on a keyword set like plastic injection mold manufacturer or plastic injection mold tooling manufacturer, something like that. If somebody Googles a term like that, like plastic injection mold manufacturer, they are looking for a service provider of plastic injection mold. So what the first thing I would do if I wanted to get more traffic to this page and more transactional traffic is simply adjust the keyword set on that SEO title. So now going down the page, the second place Google is going to look to identify what this page is about, and then once again to potentially link us up with somebody that's searching, is they're going to look at the H1 or the largest text on the page, because typically that largest text is going to be what the page's title, what the page is about. So that keyword set should be replicated here. So it should say plastic injection mold manufacturer. Now, scrolling down the page, once again, I like the imagery. I like how they're demonstrating their credibility through that, but we need to get people here. So as I scroll down this page, I see it looks like 2 sentences of content. So so there's a little bit more up here. When Google looks at a page of content, they want to see that it addresses the topic thoroughly. So a paragraph of content is not enough to tell Google that this page is going to thoroughly address the topic of plastic injection mold tooling. So the other thing I would highly recommend in this case is to add a couple hundred words of content to this page. Now, one thing that I always hear from customers is, we don't want people to be overwhelmed with a bunch of content. And that's fine. I understand that, and that makes sense. Let's focus on the highest priority information at the top. Here's a couple bullet points of why you should work with us. But then down here, we can add a section. We can add a section that has that content that we really put in there for Google's credibility, to show Google that we're credible. So there's just these few things that if Elba was to incorporate better keyword sets that are more transactional on each one of their pages and add a couple hundred words of content, right off the bat, they're going to boost their traffic by a good 10, 15, 20%. So SEO is something that is a little bit more complex than what I've described here. What I've described here is really what we call on-page SEO. Now, on-page SEO is the information that's on your website. Okay, so it's not your Google profile, it's not what you're doing on LinkedIn, it's not any of those things. It's simply the content that's on your website. As you could probably predict, there's also a subset of SEO that's called off-page SEO. So off-page SEO relates to a number of different things, but the most important one of those is what I'm going to describe to you here. In order to do that, I'm going to take Elba's URL here. I'm going to take their domain name, and I'm going to plug it into a tool that I really like to use called Majestic. And so when I look at Majestic in the context of off-page SEO, this is going to give me a score. Okay, and I'll describe to you how that score is built in a minute here. But when I look at the summary, I'm going to see a score that says 10. Okay, so the trust flow number is 10. This citation flow has some other implications. I won't get into that. This is the most important number, is the trust flow. Now, in the context of manufacturing, the trust flow of 10 could be okay. However, in a space where you're competing with other tooling manufacturers, there's a lot of them. Okay, so in order to outrank those competitors, you're going to have a much higher trust flow score than 10. In fact, I'd probably be shooting for at least a 20 or a 25. So the basic idea is that if you have a higher trust flow number than a competitor that's trying to rank for the same terms, you should be able to outrank that competitor. So how is this number built? This trust flow number comes from something that we call backlinks. And backlinks are simply links from other websites that point to your website. An example would be if Elba Tool was a member of the National Tooling and Machining Association, which is a very well-known association that has machine shops, tool makers, and a range of different manufacturers. If their local chapter of the National Tooling and Machining Association that they joined has a list of all their members on their website and links back to each member's website, that would be an example of a backlink. Now, why backlinks matter is essentially Google's establishing credibility. So they say, okay, we know that the NTMA is a credible association on the subject of machining. They're linking to Elba Tool, so therefore Elba Tool must also have some credibility. So an important part of SEO is building those votes of credibility to your website. And there's a whole lot of different ways that you can do this. One of the most well-known directories in the manufacturing space is called ThomasNet. ThomasNet will list people that pay them. Yeah, I think they also have a free option, but I think you're only going to get those links if you pay. So you can pay to be listed in a category of manufacturing, and they will then link to your website. That provides you a really nice, legitimate backlink. Now, for those of you that have used ThomasNet in the past, you may know that ThomasNet is not exactly the cheapest option in the world, especially if you're doing it just for backlink reasons. So you may want to look at some other manufacturing specific directories. Another way that you can look for backlinks is thinking about people that have provided you with services. And I've seen this pop up a number of times recently. So let's say that you hired an outside consulting firm to help you optimize your lean processes. So there's a good chance that that company has a website, and that website says, here's some companies that we've worked with in the past. Here's what they had to say about us. So that could be an opportunity for backlink. So you go to that company and you say, hey, I noticed that you have testimonials on your website. If I write you a really great testimonial, would you be willing to include that testimonial on your website and then link back to my website? So there's a million different ways that you can get backlinks. And one of the best ways is to pay for a tool like Majestic. And what you do then is you just start to look at your competitors, and you can see where their backlinks are coming from. So I can see all the backlinks that Elba Tool has. So I can see that they have a backlink for machineshopweb.com. Now this is a directory. It has a nice 26 trust flow. That's great. Let's reach out to Machine Shop Web and see what it would take for us to get listed in the same place as Elba Tool and get that backlink. Now, obviously, we're talking about Elba Tool as this example here. So we're imagining that they were another company's backlink profile. But we can do this process over and over again. We can look at, we can just Google a term like injection mold tooling. All right, so I see ksun.com. Now, one thing that's really important if you're doing this research process is ignore the ads. Now, when I did this search, it didn't show me any ads. Okay, so this is just a regular organic ranked listing. This is the result of SEO. So if there are ads here, they are not going to give you good backlink profiles necessarily because they're paying to be in that position. We want to find people that are ranking there naturally. Okay, so KSUN is an option. Looks like ICO Mold is an option. Proto Labs, they're pretty big. Those ones might be a little bit difficult to rank against. But let's look at this top one here, ksun.com. Okay, so now we can look at their backlinks. We can see what trust flow these backlinks are each providing us with. So somehow they were able to get a link from asme.org, which is a very credible organization. Topics, resources, metal to plastic design flexibility. So, this is something you could look at and see if maybe there's some resource that you could provide this organization. Yeah, it looks like some sort of a blog article that somebody from KSUN Corporation provided an interview for. So this would take some outreach. You have to reach out to ASME and say, hey, you know what? I read this article. How did that guy get quoted there? We're experts on XYZ. Is there something that you could, some information that we can provide you with and get included in a resource like that? So a lot of these take legwork. They take some intelligence, and you have to kind of think through, why did this company get this backlink? Okay, go to that resource, see what was written, and see if there's some way perhaps that you could make a pitch to that organization to also provide a similar resource. IQS directory, another big manufacturing directory, once again, pay to play, decent trust flow in that one. You can see here that it does say no follow, which that's a nuance to backlink building. Typically, we like to go for do follow backlink opportunities. A no follow backlink typically isn't going to give you the same power, I guess you could say, or the same authority boost that a do follow would. So we don't usually gravitate towards those. Xometry looks like they also provided some resource on there. They're a pretty big manufacturing website where you can go and bid on services, and they kind of get in the middle of the transaction and take some of the cut. This is a member-based organization here. I'm not sure. It looks like it might be related to real estate. We typically try to go for backlinks that are going to be in the industrial goods and services niche if we're a manufacturer. That being said, if it's a good deal, it doesn't cost a lot of money to join this. You can see that you're going to automatically get this 15 trustful backlink. It might be something worth looking into. So this is really the basic process for backlink research. You definitely need access to a paid tool like Majestic. There's other ones out there that you can use. You can use SEMrush, you can use Moz, you can use Ahrefs. There's a lot of different tools out there that you can use. I just tend to lean on Majestic because I've really found their trust flow metric to be pretty highly correlated to potential to rank or to the actual authority of the website. So just to kind of summarize my recommendations here for the company that we've been talking about, you really want to look at, number one, what is the content on your page? How well does it represent the keyword set that you want to rank for? Do you have that keyword set in the SEO title? Do you have it in the meta description? Do you have it in the H1? Do you repeat that keyword a number of different times in the page? And does that page achieve a length that Google is going to respect? The second part, if you can combine that with your off-page SEO, so now you're going out, you're looking for these backlink opportunities, you're looking for service providers that might want to link to you. You can look for directories that you might join. You can look for associations that you might join. So if you're building those backlinks in conjunction with your on-page SEO, you're automatically going to get really, really good ranking for the keywords you want to rank for. And you're going to significantly boost the traffic to your website. You're going to significantly boost the amount of leads you're getting from your website. I hope that discussion was helpful. I know for a fact that if you were to incorporate and implement those recommendations, you're going to see a pretty dramatic boost in your revenue next year.